Hello, and welcome back to Injury Recovery Mindset. I'm Dr. Craig Seifer, sports psychologist and certified mental performance consultant for the UR Medicine Fitness Science program. Last time, we talked about imagery, specifically imagery for calm and relaxation, a technique to help address stress and anxiety related to injury recovery. Today, we will talk about imagery for success. Now that we have started to build our imagery skills, how do we utilize them to prepare us for the challenges of returning to competition? Imagery is an incredibly powerful mindset skill that is utilized by elite athletes to prepare for the stress and intensity of competition. Here are a couple of quotes to illustrate the importance and power of imagery from Lindsey Vonn, a Team USA alpine ski racer and multiple world champion. Lindsey has said that she always visualizes her ski runs before she does it. By the time I get to that start gate, I've run that race 100 times in my head. Once I visualize the course, I never forget. So I get on those lines and go through exactly the run that I want to have. Lindsey takes her visual and sensory memory of racing to help her prepare for big moments. And Lindsey has documented and discussed her experiences with injury and the role of imagery in addressing the challenges and difficulties she faced through the recovery process. Research has shown that imagery helps us to improve concentration, enhance motivation, build confidence, control emotional responses, and it even helps us to acquire and correct sport-related skills. Utilizing imagery can even help us learn and master new skills that are unfamiliar. Imagery can also help to prepare for competition, cope with pain and injury, respond to adversity, and solve problems as they arise within our sport. There are three key pieces that we want to think about when utilizing imagery for coming back from an injury. We want to be able to use imagery to build confidence, prepare for competition, and help you to respond to adverse situations. When it comes to imagery for success, there are four components that we want you to focus on. The first component involves sensory details. How do we incorporate all of our senses in a way that prepares you for your return to practice, training, and competition? You'll notice that I use the term imagery, not visualization. This is deliberate. We need to create an image that incorporates multiple senses beyond just your sense of sight. In our last session, we focused on imagery for calm and relaxation. Just as we did last time, our goal here is to utilize our senses to make the image we develop as real as possible. To do that, we will focus on sight, sound, touch, feel, and smell. And remember, feel goes beyond touch to include the kinesthetic of movement and the emotional aspects of the experience. The goal here is to create an image in our mind of the triumph of your return, returning back to the field or court or arena. And our senses are the key to unlock the intensity of the image to make it real. And the emotion of these moments is a critical component, including the initial feelings of nerves, but then a sense of confidence, readiness, and success that need to be part of this experience. Another key component of successful imagery is perspective. While in sports psychology, we refer to our perspective as having either an internal or external focus, it may be helpful to think of it in terms of GoPro or video. How are you going to view this image? Will your imagery appear in your mind as if you have a GoPro video camera attached to you? Or is it more helpful to take a step back and view your performance from a wide-angle view, similar to what you might see when reviewing video of a performance? So that internal or first person or GoPro view is going to be, what does it look like as if I'm performing from my point of view? However, for many athletes, they may feel more comfortable and familiar taking an external, third person, or video approach. Having a viewpoint that shows you on the field or court in competition can be very helpful. And what does the research say? Either way, it's just about personal preference. Imagery can be just as successful from both external and internal points of view. It's really about what do you feel most comfortable with and what works for you. However, experimenting with both perspectives can be helpful as you build this skill. The next important component of building your imagery is control. We want to be able to prepare you for successful moments and outcomes within your sport. We want you to think about moments where you score or reach your personal best, moments where you are triumphant. Those are the moments that we want to focus on when it comes to imagery. However, we also want to prepare you for adversity, being able to create an image in your mind of moments that may be really challenging. And those could be dealing with fatigue coming back from injury, or soreness or training pain as your body ramps up to the demands of your sport. Or it could be having doubts or fears that creep up that you are then able to work through and refocus. In preparing for adverse situations through imagery, you might have times when you lose control of your imagery and it becomes negative, seeing yourself fail, or maybe even the worst case scenario, getting re-injured. Remember, this is a normal part of your injury recovery process. But we do want you to have the tools to manage the control of your image. There are two methods to do this. Your first option is to slow it down. If you get to the point where your imagery turns negative, you can freeze and reverse the imagery back to the start. From there, having your imagery unfold in slow motion can give you a stronger sense of control and keep it in a positive direction. Another technique that can help you manage your imagery is verbal directing. In this approach, you take the time to say each step and each detail of your imagery to yourself. This can be out loud or simply in your head. For a track sprinter, this may include, first, I'm in my stance. I notice the tension in my body. I'm ready to explode. I hear, on your marks. I'm ready. The gun goes off and I explode into the first 10 meters. Being able to verbally direct the image can improve your control over the image. Another key component is narrowing down the focus in your image. Will you focus on competition or training? Will you focus on a full competition? For example, our track sprinter may complete a 55-meter dash in less than 7 seconds. So imagery of the full event may work well. For other sports, that may be 4 quarters of action involving hours of time. For those athletes, they may want to focus on sections of competition, such as getting off to a really good start, coming back from breaks in action, or key moments that might be challenging. The key component for you to decide right now are the situations that make sense in your sport. And especially, what are the situations as you return from injury that might make you feel a little bit concerned, a little bit anxious, a little bit uncomfortable? That could be anticipating contact and physicality, could be cutting or driving, or it could be worries or concerns about the stress on your body. Those realistic concerns can drive your fears. However, being able to engage in imagery where you see and feel yourself achieving success will build your feelings of confidence and readiness. And that will translate to those high-intensity situations. Now we are going to transition to the imagery worksheet that is part of your injury recovery workbook. As you take the time to work on and develop your imagery for success, focus on the key components we discussed today. Sensory. What are the senses that I need to include in my imagery? Perspective. What perspective is going to make sense for me? Internal or external? GoPro or video? Control. What's my strategy to control the image as I'm practicing imagery? What do I need to do if my focus drifts or if my imagery gets negative? How will I refocus within my imagery in order to come back stronger and more prepared? As we come back to your golden repair goals moving ahead, you will need to continue to build awareness, understanding, and recognizing your emotions. You will need to continue to practice some of our core level mindset skills in terms of breathing and progressive muscle relaxation. You will need to be mindful of your self-talk and utilize it to keep focused on process goals. And finally, you can continue to practice and utilize imagery, not only for calm and relaxation, but now adding in imagery for success. In our past session, we discussed having a basic or advanced approach to developing imagery skills. That applies here as well. At a basic level, we can think about being planful. What are our senses? What are the aspects of perspective, control, and focus that we need to develop in our imagery? Start with practice 3 or 4 times a week, and perhaps working in a combination of the relaxation imagery that we used from our last session. At an advanced level, if this is a mindset skill that you already utilize, keeping an imagery journal can be helpful in furthering your development. Reflecting after your imagery practice is a helpful exercise. Take the time to write down when you utilized it, where you were, how long you practiced, and what worked or was challenging. Keeping an imagery journal can give you a sense of progress over time and help you to reflect on the details that fuel your success. Thanks again. Good luck to you and your journey as you return to performance. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. With these mindset skills, you can feel ready and prepared to be successful in your return from injury. But these skills only work if you work it, so continue to put in the work. Once again, I'm Dr. Craig Seifer, sports psychologist and certified mental performance consultant for UR Medicine Fitness Science.